Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So I'm watching a Gary Vaynerchuk video, just before the show, and it was an interesting one. So I thought I would lay it out here. Thank you, headphones. It was talking about there's kind of two ways to engage with people. There's the way where you build them up and you help other people and you encourage people to grow and the whole high tide rises all ships things. And then there is to bring people down, to push people down so far that even your mediocrest moments are actually looking better because you're bringing other people down. I say all that to say that on this show and on this channel, we're going to build people up because that is the only way, in my humble opinion, in my experience, the only way to improve, the only way to get better, the only way to encourage and motivate and grow is to keep trying and keep doing and keep motivating. So if you need some motivation, if you've got some questions, or if you want to help someone else today, I just ask that you do that. Just take a minute to help someone out. If someone needs some help, then think about the way you respond and think about, am I building someone up or am I tearing them down to make myself feel better? I think in this community, I know the answer. Most of you are building up. Hello everyone, I hope you are doing well. We have a new setup here, so I need your feedback here first and foremost to let me know that everything is working and ticking along hunky-dory, because I have tidied up. In fact, there's the remnants of my tidying session is over there. You can't really see it because of the camera angle and the aperture and the other words I don't understand. But over there is my KRK rockets and my Zoom live track and my old USB hub, because I've replaced everything. It's all different here now. And it's actually very tidy and very neat. I have my mixer on the right-hand side here now, which is a bit different for me, so I'm just getting used to that as well. But everything seems to be working well. So let's just do a quick share of the screen to make sure that all is ticking along. So here is my screen. Let's kick into this tune here. I've got to press on my mouse so that I get my mouse up here. See, look, this is how fancy I'm getting. I've even got my mouse here, which is it's the soft touch, what is it? The Logitech M590. And it enables me to change my mouse. So at the click of a mouse, I can be here on my screen, on my Mac, and then I tap the button, and suddenly I'm on my iPad. So that's pretty cool. Let's give this one a test run, shall we? Ready to rock? Yeah. Over on the right. Why is it so left leaning? You know why? Hesitation. That's better. There's my head. So welcome. If you've got questions, we're going to try and answer those. I've got a few questions that have come in the last day or so that we'll be answering here. But yeah, if you have your questions, this is your time. We're only 2.5 minutes in here. I know I've been ranting a little bit, but we have plenty of time for plenty of questions. And if you have a question, put the word question or just the letter Q, as our friend Husker has done here, which always reminds me of Husker Du. Husker Du never really gained any traction here in Australia. I don't know any of my Australian friends. They just weren't a big thing. I didn't hear of them, and they didn't seem to have a lot of exposure here in Australia around that same alternative time that everyone else did. But question, what is the best way to share a song? I'm probably just trying to show some friends at work on my phone or share it on Facebook, but I would like a good quality conversion, I guess. Really good question. So how do we do this? Jade loves Husker Du. So how do we do this? In terms of sharing, and I've done entire videos on sharing before, so as I usually do here, I'll try and find the video to point you toward, because it's a good thing to tell you here and now what to do, and I will do that. But if I can send you to the companion video at the same time, I'm sure I did an episode of this show, or so there's GarageBand sharing. I'm just trying to find. There was a special that I did on sharing on the show, and now I can't find it at all. But that's okay. So the number one way that people use is to use SoundCloud. This is a pretty popular way to do it. The reason that SoundCloud's popular is that it's dead simple to upload, and it's really simple to share a link. So if we jump over here to SoundCloud, I'll show you what we mean. So here's my SoundCloud page. Here's my profile. I've almost reached my upload limit. So yeah, you do only get, what is it? You get, I've used 96%. There you go. You get 180 minutes. So you can upload 180 minutes of music. I've clearly uploaded a bunch already. If we come in here to my my tracks, so you go to my tracks there, then here are all the songs. So I put a version of Murdering Time, my most recent song, up here. And the beauty part of this is, as you can see there, it's very simple, because all you need to do Just turn that one down. All you need to do is actually upload the track, so the audio, and then an album art image. Now, there's also slaps.com, which is DistroKid's answer to SoundCloud, which I actually prefer these days. I find that a bit cooler. Just going to move this cord around so it's not going to be hanging there. Yeah, so slaps.com is cool. In terms of the question of actually exporting your audio and getting the best quality sound, now it depends where you're exporting from, but if you're the good part about using a service like this is that you don't have to send files. So you'd be aware that when you export a song from whatever platform, from GarageBand or any other digital audio workstation, you can share it as a WAV file or as an MP3 or M4A file. So a WAV file is what you generally want because that's going to be uncompressed. That's going to give you the best possible quality for when you're actually sharing it. So compression actually compresses down the audio and therefore you won't get the best possible quality. So go with uncompressed and upload it to somewhere like SoundCloud or Slaps. You can also create a video. If you want to share on Facebook and YouTube, sharing natively is actually a really good thing. So you can create a video. Now, if you're on iOS, I use an app called Visibel, which I've shown here before. I'll just give you a quick glimpse of this. It's about a $10 app, but it's pretty cool. It has goats on it. So here's what it looks like. So you can basically dial in a whole bunch of these settings and you basically create your own visualization. Sorry, you create your own visualization video to go along with your song. And I've used that for a bunch of different songs. And then you just can upload that video file directly to YouTube, directly to Facebook. And that way you're actually sharing it natively as opposed to sending a link out. Because when you link out to somewhere else, then you don't get as much traction generally. So that's a few little things to keep in mind there about sharing. But do jump over and check out the video that I've done in the past all about sharing. And the couple of them, as I said, if you just search my name and share, then there's a heap of videos over there on the channel that are all about sharing. Did I actually show that? I don't think so. I think I was ranting about it as I was going through. But yeah, what I usually recommend is just type my name and then a word. So here you've got Pete John's share, and then you've got how to share in GarageBand, sharing your projects, collaborating, exporting it to Google Drive. And if you want to learn about, say, slaps.com, if you come in here, slaps.com, then yeah, you can learn about using Slaps to share your stuff. Oh, this cord is doing my head in. If you're just joining us, I've rearranged my studio today and it's not quite back in the way that I would like it. You know, when you change a few things and it doesn't all quite work out for you? Yeah, that. All right, thank you for the question. We're going to move on because we've got a heap more coming on in here. Excuse me. Yes, well done on that. I know. I was inspired by you, Jade. I needed to do something. I needed to do it, and I needed to do it now. And don't worry, Tom. It's taken me. When did I quit my job or get made redundant? It was the end of September, and I've tidied my studio yesterday. So there you go. Scrolling down, and I saw another one here. Have you ever used the upright bait in iOS? Got a good sound from it. Struggling to make it sound nice. Yeah. It is. I've found exactly the same problem. I've used the upright bass in GarageBand and I've also struggled to get it sounding good. It always seems to sound a little bit too clunky. I'm thinking EQ is the answer there. I haven't really played around with some EQ, but grab the LRC5 EQ. And again, there's videos on my page here about it. If you just search Pete Johns, it is LRC5. It is a free EQ plugin and it just gives you a lot more control. You can see there, it's a 5-band EQ. So what you can do there is grab a frequency, turn it up, and find the frequency you don't like. Sweep side to side until you find the frequency you don't like, and then drop that one down. That's where I'd start. Anytime you've got a sound that you don't like the look of, I would actually try doing that. Gary Hub says, Hughes is a vague memory in my mind. 404, not found. It is the Clearly Epic Steve. And by the way, speaking of Steve and speaking of Clearly Epic, we've over 11,000 users on the GarageBand users Facebook group. So congratulations to everyone over there, to all the users, to all the moderators, to everyone who is in that community. It's very, very cool. If you're into GarageBand, you need to check out the GarageBand users Facebook group. You're probably already one of the 11,000 there, but if you're not, do yourself a favor, get on over. Enjoying coffee today, of course, from my Studio Live Today mug because it just tastes better. And people will be confused if you get one because they'll be like, wait a minute, what's that? I don't know. Drawbeat says, I need help. I got an Akai iPad 8 for my iPad using GarageBand, but I need help on how to map out the drums. Yeah, short version is you can't. So GarageBand iOS is notoriously bad for doing any sort of MIDI learn or mapping. So what you need to do is you need to do it on the hardware side. Now, if your hardware doesn't support being able to control what it's sending, then you're SOL, which, as we know, means sort of out of luck. There's other apps, there's other AUV3 plugins and specific drum apps that you can use that will help you out. I think Jade's covered a few of those on how to app, and Cubasis and Aurea are generally better for that sort of thing. But I don't have a whole heap of experience with it. Basically, because I know the limitations of GarageBand, so I've never bothered using any sort of drum pads or any sort of machines with that. Josephine says, what site is that with the visualization? So it's actually an app. It's an iOS app, Josephine. It's called Visibel, Wizibel. It's made by Clevgrund, who are a very good audio creator. And yeah, it's about a $10 app, so you do have to pay for it. But once you've bought it once, you can use it as many times as you like and create some cool visualizations. That's well, a lot of people are using it now. I use it for pretty much everything. So if we go to YouTube and we find my song Murdering Time, this is the sort of thing we're talking about here with Visibel, is you can create a little visualization like this. So we'll just turn the volume. So you can have your album art there, you can have like a background image, some text, and the nice little waveform there. And it just gives you a nice little way to present your music that's not just, a boring album art cover or no video at all. So it helps me out. Etho Real says, how far do you think someone can realistically take their mixing and mastering for production music made for TV and film just from iPad and GarageBand and any plugins out there? As far as you want. And I'll resist the urge to rant on this because many folks, the regulars, know that I rant on this all the time. But we're talking digital audio here now, yeah? So when I create a song, so I created Murdering Time, this one, 100% in GarageBand on Mac. Most of my songs are actually created in GarageBand on iOS. And the difference is almost negligible because when I'm creating here in iOS, in GarageBand, this is 24-bit, 24-bit, 44.1 kilohertz audio. I'm recording it through the same microphones, through my Audio-Technica mics, through my same interface, my Steinberg UR series interfaces. So it's actually recording that exact same audio. It's just happening to do it on an iPhone or an iPad. That is actually no different these days. There was a time where you had better quality. Say you had a Pro Tools rig, that would be better quality because the early days of GarageBand was 16-bit audio, sampling rate wasn't great, and it didn't do the best job. These days, there is no difference. So platform doesn't matter. The only thing that matters about platform is not quality, it is workflow. So I will still back anyone up that says, hey, I use Pro Tools because I've used Pro Tools for 20 years and I'm really good and I'm really fast at it and I know all the plugins, I know where everything is. But if someone says, I use Pro Tools because all those other DAWs are poor quality and don't have the options you need to create professional music, I think that is a 20 or at least a 10-year-old argument. And I think if they actually took a look at what we can do now on a mobile device, they would be either very surprised or shocked or a bit of both, because there really is no, outside of the workflow, there is no difference. Now, you might say that the Pro Tools stock plugins have a lot more flexibility or do more things than GarageBand. Sure, maybe. You only got 10 plugins in GarageBand, but you can expand that out. You can use audio unit plugins to expand that out to whatever you want. So I can come in here and if I'm not happy with all the sounds that I get on this bass, I can come in here and add in an audio unit extension. And I've got a whole library of third-party plugins. I can grab the Nembrini stuff. I can grab Clevgrund, there's the 4Pocket stuff. There's a heap of really great plugins that you can use right there in GarageBand or any recording application on your iPhone or iPad. I need to stretch out this curly cord. This is the problem. I need to just have it stretched out for a day because my old headphones, the curly cord's all stretched. These ones are all like tight and yeah, not so good. Andy Goldsby's a fan of Visibel. Yeah, it gives great uniform. Exactly. It gives you uniformity and it's just a simple way to give you a visualization. All right, I'm way behind on the questions, so I'm going to continue on. Tom Richel, what's your preferred method of converting a WMV and MPEG files to M4A or just for video conversion in general, preferably free? I haven't done to be honest, I don't do a whole lot of video converting. And when I do, Tom, I just use LumaFusion. So LumaFusion is my video editor of choice here on iOS. I use it on my iPhone to do all of my editing. And I also use it on iPad. If we bring it up, it is this sucker here, created by our friends at LumaTouch, and it is a full-featured video and audio. What an unfortunate like freeze frame to be on there. This was me just doing a quick sort of test one day, so really bad camera angle. But yeah, so this is what I generally use because it'll support most of those file types. So you can import, you can bring it in, it'll handle a lot of different video file types. And then when you go to export your actual overall project, just export it as a movie. And then this is where I can select what I want to do it. So you can select the type of file format that you want here. I normally do MPEG-4. You can do a QuickTime movie as well. And that brings it back into that sort of Apple universe. So that's what I'll use there. If you've got weird file formats, say older stuff, which might be what you're working on and you want to convert it in and use it here, there's a web-based service called Zamzar. I'm pretty sure it still exists. I've been using it for probably close to a decade now. Oh, what are we playing over here? Better not play that because that's going to probably be someone's copyrighted material. Let's just see if it's still there. Zamzar.com. Yeah, there you go. So Zamzar.com, I've used it for a long time for converting documents. I used it back in my work life for converting documents. So it's got document conversion, it's got audio conversion, video conversion. And if you've got some of those weirder, those stranger video file types, you can actually add a file in here and then convert it. And what it does, it converts it in the cloud, and then it just sends you a link, and then you can download it. Now, if you're super worried about security and you definitely don't want anyone else on the World Wide Web to get hold of your stuff, maybe don't use a web-based one. And if that's the case, there is something called File Converter for iOS, which is the one with the green arrow. Let's see if I can find it here on my iPad. It works okay sometimes. And I say that because I've probably had a 50-50 hit rate with this one, but it's worth downloading. So if you go to the App Store, search out this one, File Converter, the one with the green arrow, and it looks like this. I've obviously not used it for a while. But same sort of concept here. It's got image converters, documents, audio, video. You put it in, you convert it, and this one can actually do it right here on your device. But you can see there is a premium for unlimited conversions, so I'm not sure of exactly what the limitations are. It does most things pretty well though. So there's a couple of options for you in terms of the world of file conversion. And yeah, once you get to that final file, LumaFusion just tidies it all up and makes it all nice and uniform for you. Hello, Bear. Can you please explain setting levels while recording? In addition, setting leveled afterwards while mastering. So there's a few different concepts here. There's setting your levels, so getting your input gain level set for recording. There's then how you actually mix. There's something called gain staging, which I don't use it a whole lot. Like, here's the thing, like with most things with recording, it's kind of subjective, and some people swear by particular methods, and some people are just sort of leave it up in the air. So ideally what you want to do is have all your inputs so that when you're mixing, you can start at unity gain, you can start at 0 dB, and everything will be about right. Because if you record a vocal really quietly because your input gain's down, and then you record a really hot guitar signal, you're going to have your mix dials all over the place. Now, that doesn't really matter, and to be honest, it looks kind of cool on your DAW, but ideally, your static mix should be as close to 0 dB. And some people go nuts with this. Some people normalize every single track to keep them at 0 dB all the way through. I don't bother with that. But if you want to learn about gain staging, my friend Mike over at Creative Source has what I think is probably the best gain staging video. And I think he does it in Cakewalk. Actually, he's got a few of them. He's jumped on the gain staging bandwagon. There you go. Just look for these ones with the yellow bits. But there's gain staging essentials, easy gain staging, and Cakewalk gain staging. So I'd start with this one, the easy gain staging in Studio One and other DAWs. So it is specific to Studio One on the PC, but the exact same thing works there. And Warren Hewitt also seems to have a video about gain staging, and he's a good dude. So I would check that one out to get your head around that, because Mike explains it really clearly. And then when it comes to things like your gain in GarageBand, so if I come in here and you have a look at this project, you'll see that I am not really one to talk when it comes to gain staging. My levels and my volume are pretty much all over the place, and I just do what works for the track at the time. So I don't spend a lot of time setting my levels when it comes to here, because I don't really care if this is up here or if this is down here. But the crucial thing is your input gain. And I've talked about this before, and I think I've got a video about it. I think I talk about it. Hang on, where are we? Sorry, I've got too many mices and too many things. Can we go back to there? Yeah, let's come back to here. So if we go to me, input gain, Pretty sure it's this one, yeah. So this will give you, there's a couple there about input gain, microphone volume, input versus output volume. They're the ones that I would check out on my channel. So just search my name, Pete John's input gain, and that will give you some tips on that one. And I apologize that I'm not diving deep in here, but I've made the mistake before where I answer some questions with like 15-minute answers. We get to the end of the show, and I've completely run out of time, and I can't answer anything else. Joshua, hello to you. Can you make a video on tips of how to save money to get equipment because I'm a teen, not old enough to get a job, and not enough pocket money for the day-to-day basis? That's a really good point, and what I'm going to do is put that in my list because I keep a list of ideas, and I recommend you do this too. Even if you're not a creator or if you're not doing like videos or anything like this, keep yourself a list of ideas of things to do. So I like this idea. So cheap gear, so yeah, like affordable for like teens starting out. Because I think that is an important thing. So what did I do? I can tell you what I did when I started out. Secondhand. So secondhand is where it's at. Go to and look at, I know it's a bit hard at the moment because you can't really go to physical places, but you can still go online. So back when I started out, I went to a place here in Australia called Cash Converters. Shout out to my cashies friends and fans. So Cash Converters sell secondhand gear. And basically what they do, their business model is that when you're selling stuff, they give you a terrible price. So let's say you have a $100 microphone. What they'll do is that they'll buy it from someone selling it for $30 and then, oh, that was weird. I was just flashing that one up. There you go. They'll buy it from someone for $30 and then they'll put it on their shelf for $60. And then what you do as the end consumer is you walk into Cash Converters and you see it for $60 and you go, hey, I'll give you $40 for that. And they might say, get out of here, kid, you're dreaming. And then they'll go, and you walk out and they'll go, oh, okay, 50. And then there you go. You get a $100 mic for $50. So the virtual equivalent of that is things like Gumtree, eBay, Amazon often have some refurbished and secondhand stuff on there. So on Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist. So that's the best way to go. Audio gear, decent quality audio gear is usually pretty resilient. So I've had Steinberg interfaces, Behringer stuff even, and microphones and all sorts of things that I've bought, used, and then on-sold secondhand. And it gives it a second life and means that it can get used. So get yourself accustomed to the secondhand stuff there. And oh, thank you. Yes, you have rephrased it with the question in front, but yeah, there you go. So hopefully that gives you some ideas. Jump onto eBay and just search around. Get really familiar because here's the thing, if you've got much more time than you have money, become an expert in how much things cost. So find the 10 bits of gear that you really want for your studio and then research the crud out of them and find out how much they're selling for. That way, as soon as you see a really good deal, so let's say you want a microphone, you want a Shure SM57. Now that's a $100 microphone to buy it new. And you might be sort of tracking it on eBay or tracking on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace and they're selling for 80 or 70. And then you see one pop up for 45. Well, because you know that they sell for 70 or 80, you can jump on there. And you know the even cooler thing? If you start knowing those prices really well, you can not only just buy the stuff for you, but you can make money by buying the gear cheaper, flipping it to someone else at a slightly higher price, make yourself a bit of bank, and then go out and buy the gear. So there's plenty of people that are doing that, the whole flip life culture, which is that, yeah, if you know what you're looking for and people just want the convenience of getting rid of it fast, buy it at that really cheap price and then on sell it if you know what you've got. So hopefully that gives you and others a few ideas there. Scrolling on down, hello Deep Gravity, good to have you here. Morning Joey Helpish to you and to all of the buddies out there. Sorry, what? Josh was saying that is illegal. I'm not sure what we were saying that was illegal. Oh, shoplifting. Yeah, so no, don't go the shoplifting. As don't listen to Steve's advice. That's a good thing to keep in mind. Just generally, don't listen to Steve. Question here from Maria. I'll read this one after a quick sip of coffee. StudioLiveToday.com/merch, since you asked. How can I increase the volume on a GarageBand to make it a bit louder without lowering the quality? You want to do a thing called mastering, Maria, and thankfully you've come to the right place because I have a heap of videos on mastering in GarageBand for free even. So mastering, what you're really looking at with mastering and what you're looking to do is limiting. So limiting is like a form of compression that will compress your audio, but it won't go over a certain level. So when you say without lowering the quality, that's what you're looking for. Because what a compressor does is it squishes down the loudest parts and then it pulls up all the quiet parts. But the problem with the compressor, if you compress too much, you'll over compress. You'll get that pumping sound and it will sound really terrible, or you'll start clipping or distorting. What I would suggest is jump into one of these two videos. This one's the most popular and probably the one I'd check out. So it's called How to Master in GarageBand iOS. And what I show here is it's a 22-minute video, but I show you how to render down your song into a stereo wave file, and then how to use EQ, how to use compression, and how to use limiting to make it sound radio ready to get the absolute best out of your sound. So it's a simple process. Mastering sounds super complicated. You're like, oh, you see those albums, it's like remastered album, and it sounds super complex. It's actually super simple. All you're really doing is taking a song that has quite a bit of dynamic range. So the soft parts are soft, the loud parts are loud. What you're doing is you're just dragging up, not too much. Don't bring everything up, otherwise you lose all the dynamic range. But you're bringing up those quieter parts and just gently pushing down on the top, so that instead of it bouncing up like this, it is just nice and level up the top here. So that is what I would recommend for you. Learn a bit about limiting and mastering, and that will help your final GarageBand mixes sound their absolute best. I have done several videos on cheap gear. So yeah, again, if you search my name, if you search Pete Johns, and I reckon if you just search cheap gear, let's see what you get. So if you look over here, so this is my first mobile recording rig. And all this stuff is still available and really good quality today. So my first recording rig, I had the little iPhone adapter there. I had these headphones. I did splurge on the headphones. These are $100 headphones, and these are actually a second version. I've still got the old ones in the drawer. They're just sort of deteriorating a bit after 7 years. But the Samson CO1 microphone, ridiculously good microphone for the price. The Steinberg UR12 audio interface. So yeah, this was my first rig, and as you can see there, it was $300. And I reckon you could pick up all that gear for about $200 secondhand right now, which I know is still $200. 200 is 200, but you will get a good quality sound without having to break the bank. So hopefully that helps you out. I'm always ranting, Michael. You know that. I love a rant. Love a good rant. All right. We'll come on down because we've got more questions. Paul Stephen Cox, what are some different ways to LUFS metering on iPad? Should LG Grand Finale doesn't have a meter? Yeah, so Grand Finale doesn't have LUFS, LUFS metering. Because when I do mastering, I don't get super pedantic and hung up on that. I probably should, but I don't. I think, now Jade Star, if you're here on the stream, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the Lursen mastering console, it's super expensive, but I'm pretty sure that one has the LUFS metering that you may be looking for. But yeah, unfortunately, everything in the sort of $20, $30 app range for mastering, it doesn't seem to have that. And I haven't seen any plugins, even an AUV3 plugin. I could be wrong. If anyone's got good metering plugins, then do let me know. Red, I like that, Red. If you've watched my live shows, Red, that's what we say when we have a drink. I'd like to ask your thoughts. Do you reckon the next update on next-gen GarageBand on iPhone or iPad will include a tempo map? Would be very helpful for people with limited resources. Yeah, my professional opinion on this, or my amateur opinion on this, my opinion on this is no. I don't think that Apple will add things like tempo control for GarageBand. Mostly because I think they're trying to keep things as simple as possible. So if we jump over here... So what we're talking about there is, here in GarageBand right now, there is no tempo track. There's no way to control tempo outside of the individual tempo for the entire track. So if we come in here to this one, this has got a tempo of 142. We can't actually, if we change that, it changes the entire project, and we can't have sections. So we can't have a tempo map like you have in other DAWs where it will go faster, slower, and you can actually change it. You can ramp between one tempo and another. You can do that in things like Audio Pro, Cubases, I think you can. I haven't played around with it enough lately, but I'm pretty sure you can. I think that the reason we don't have that is that Apple are in this position now where they're trying to keep GarageBand as simple as possible. They don't want to add all the features and all the bells and whistles because they will sacrifice the simplicity. And there's already enough under the hood here, like when they added in plugins and EQ, and when they added in a bunch of the other options and the ways to do things here, they probably thought, yeah, that's about enough. So short answer, I don't think so. I think if you want that next level of control, I would start considering Cubasis or Auria Pro, and maybe consider using those if you want those sort of additional options in your recordings. I'm realizing here that with this new setup, what I probably need to do is get some sort of stand or wall mount for my webcam, because as you probably notice, and you're probably not noticing, but now you will, is that when I lean down on the desk, you get a little bit of wobble there with the camera. So I'm doing this show to help folks out, but also to learn a little bit about my new setup. So let's come into the next one. We'll have a quick cough. My apologies there. I also can't see the levels when I turn things back up, so I may need to reconsider where my mixer is. I've got it on the right here now. It may need to go back to the left. And I definitely need to pull these. I need to get a headphone extension lead. I'm going to sit on it for now. All right, sorry. I promise we'll get back to actually talking stuff. Can you give a quick rundown of using meters during mixing and possibly mastering? Not sure if you use them for mastering, but I would think you do. I've been using my meter 2, which I think part 2 has a minus 18 dB floor. So does that mean it's okay to read like minus 6 dB when mixing? Yeah, so it really depends. It's probably a more in-depth topic that probably needs its own hour to talk about how you mix and how you use metering, and it really depends on what you're using and what your end goal is here. So I kind of covered a little bit of it earlier in terms of setting your input gain and gain staging and how that works. I must admit, I go with the ears more than the eyes, so I will listen to a track, and if it's sounding good, I'll go with it, as opposed to worrying exactly about where everything is going in the metering. So I'm probably a bad person to give you that sort of specific advice about metering or where everything should sit in terms of levels. I just tend to go, and it depends on the song. If I'm doing a quieter song, I'll just tend to have things down a bit lower, and if it's a louder song, I'll turn them up a bit louder. I know that's a super simplistic answer. And yeah, I could probably go into more detail, but for me, I think, and yeah, if it's working for you, if it helps you out, I would check it. But I would check the likes of Warren Hewitt for stuff like that. Rick Beato has a little bit of stuff like that, but Warren's probably the guy. Also, people like Joe Gilder and Graham Cochran. So those guys, so Home Studio Corner and Recording Revolution. So they're the sort of channels that I would check out for that sort of stuff. It's not that I don't think it's important or don't cover it at all, but I think it's not something that I focus in on. I'm more about just the create, record, release, getting it out there and getting it done, and then learning what workflow works best for you. Because some people love it, some people live in the meters, and some people not so much. They just go and do their thing. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate the kind words. Yeah, we were talking anxiety on Jade's How to App series this week, and she played my song Anxiety. So thank you, appreciate it. Yeah. As Joey Helpish says, everyone knows the way to make a 9-figure income is to make your music on a gold-plated velvet pillow while using Fruity Loops 3 for Windows 98. Here. A little bit of a joke there about the fact that, yeah, like if you've checked out Clubhouse, the new audio-only social media app, man, there's some fake gurus going around there telling you how to make 6 and 7 and 8, and yeah, we even saw 9-figure incomes there. So yeah. Go with it. It's like Instagram exploded, became worse, and just fell all over my ears. That's how I'd explain Clubhouse. Scrolling on down to see if we have any other questions. Pete, when you start a new song or project, what do you concentrate on recording first? Really good question. Good question. So, what would I concentrate on recording first when I'm starting a new song? It really depends. For me, most of my music is singer-songwriter, acoustic guitar, and vocals. So for me, a lot of my song ideas come out of me noodling on my guitar and just singing. And I'll usually get a hook first. So I'll usually get a riff or a hook or something. So for instance, let's take this song for example. For example, I speak English goodly. So this is my song called New Beginning that I did in Songtember last year, and this was all built around this particular riff, was just this one. So for me, it's always something, it's always like a hook or a riff. So it'll either be a melody line of a vocal or it'll be a guitar chord sequence or a guitar riff that drives it. So pretty much all of my songs have done that. If you listen to Anxiety, the song that Brad was talking about, that has the do 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 do. That has that acoustic riff, and that was what I wrote first. So that's for me. Again, other people do different things. Some people use the drums. Some people like to have a drum beat to go to. Some people use the bass. Some people use vocals. It really is a personal thing. But if you're struggling with something, if you're struggling for ideas about how to start a song, one really cool tip is grab a loop, any loop. Just go into GarageBand, go to the loop browser, and just find something. And it doesn't even have to be anything within your genre, but if you just come in here to Apple Loops and just, you can even play loop roulette. So if I was feeling a little bit like I couldn't get an idea going, play loop roulette. So I just go, come on, big money, no whammies, boom. And I tap on that. Oh yeah. Put your hands in the air. So yeah, suddenly I'm writing a rave song. Who knew? But that's actually a fun thing to do. I should totally do a video on that. All right, that's going in the ideas folder. I told you I'd do this. I think loop roulette would actually be a really fun idea. And if I don't do it, Joey Helpish, you're the sort of guy that should do that. There you go. You may steal that one with pride if you want, my friend. But loop roulette. Just spin the wheel, see what loops you get. And you could just do 3 loops, and then you have to use those 3 loops in a song. How much fun. We could do a challenge. We could get everyone to do that. Joey, can you tell us a little bit about your second original song? Oh, now, it really depends if we're talking about my first time around. So I had a band in the 90s called Scarpa. And what was my second original song? First original song I wrote was one called Sober. The second original song I wrote was probably a song called Frogs, actually. And speaking of riffs, because we have the power of guitars, that was all built around one riff. So my second song, I think it was my second song called Frogs, was all built around a riff, and it was all built around this little riff that was... So it was just that one there. Oops. My daughter seems to be calling me. We'll hit the no button there. She's playing around with a new phone and has dialed my number. Let's continue on here. Yeah, what was my point? Yeah, so that's a little bit about my second song. I created that. It was called Frogs, and it's the main theme of that was... it's actually a bit like Goats. So if you've heard my song Goats Have It Easier Than Me. There's a song I wrote called Frogs, and it was the same concept. It was like I think that it even says they have it easier than me. Kind of funny when I think of frogs, they have it easier than me. Next one, my daughter just said, "Oops." Yeah, she knows I'm doing a show, and she's playing with her new phone, and she's getting the hang of it, shall we say? Yeah. I've been using earphones and a mic and have a track on YouTube. Could you check it out, please, and tell me the differences my song would have with a proper mic? I generally can't, but here's a couple of things you can do. You can join the Create, Record, Release Facebook group. There are 700 plus people there, and you can share your songs there, and you'll get feedback. Really good group of people. They'll be able to provide you insight and input into your music. And if you've got a song that you want to share publicly, you can submit it to Your Music Live. So go to studiolivetoday.com/YML, and you can share your song over there. What's on the hat? What's in the box? What's in the box? What's on the hat? So this is Cooper's. This is my favourite brewery here in Adelaide. I keep wearing this hat in the hope that Cooper's will see my happy hour show and decide to sponsor it. Speaking of gear, Mark said he got me his Samson CO1 and Scarlett 2i2 for $75. There you go. So there's a motivational thing. You can get yourself a good quality mic and interface for the cheap, which is good. Do you promote a small artist music with no money? How do you promote a small? Yeah, that's a really good question, Kat. And thank you for sharing. One way is to share your song on Your Music Live, because Kat did exactly that last week, and a lot of people really dug it. And I'm sure there's plenty of folks who are following you and your music by doing that. The key... Again, I'm not an expert in social media marketing. Check out people like Damien Keys. So I would watch as much Damien Keys as you possibly can. He is a guru, and he's a good guy. So there's a lot of folks who will try and push information, but it's not always the best stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of it is what they call a lead magnet. So a lead magnet is something where they will put out a little bit of information, give you a taste, and then say, and if you want to find out all of these cool tips and hacks for social media, then join my mastermind, join my Facebook group that costs you $100 a month, all of those sort of things. But Damien Keys, whilst he does have a group like that, he'll just tell you at the end. But he's going to give away all of his information right up for free, and he has a heap of these. So if you look at his videos, there's a heap of stuff here, like your single release 21-day plan, how to actually promote things, what not to do when releasing, so how to make sure you don't get into trouble, how to grow on Instagram in 2021. He really is the real deal, and I've been meaning to reach out and try and get him on the show, actually, because I want to learn from him. But yeah, check out Damien Keys. That'll be the shortcut to doing that. And it doesn't really have to cost you a lot of money. In fact, the ways that cost you money can actually get you into the most trouble, Kat, because what's been happening a lot is that people have been paying these sort of third-party companies. So you might pay $100 to get in front of someone. So they might say, for $100, we'll get you 10,000 streams on Spotify and get you in front of these 3 record labels. What they don't tell you is they take your $100, they pay $20 to a dodgy other third party, and they just use bot farms and farms of people, low-paid workers, to just stream your music. So it looks on the surface like your music is more successful, yet you have engaged with exactly 0 actual new users. So I say all that to say the most important thing is one-to-one engagement with actual people about your music. That's why I think that Facebook groups are good, Reddit forums if you're into that sort of thing, jump on Clubhouse, like, the thing is, if you've got no money but you've got all the time, get in there and spend your time. Spend 8 hours a day, and you might not have that. Spend 4 hours a day. Spend whatever time you have engaging with other people and their music. Get yourself into conversations. Gary Vaynerchuk is someone who I follow. I mentioned him at the start of the show. He talks about this all the time. It's like, you got no money, but you got all the time. Guess what? You can get in on all those conversations, and you can build up your network natively and naturally by actually talking to other people. The people that don't succeed generally are those that are just me, push. They take social media and they turn it into a one-way street where all they're doing is going into groups and dropping their link and saying, yo, check out my fire beat 100, and then leaving. Guess what? No one's going to check out their fire beat at all. And yeah, as Jade said, her and Andy did a show recently on exactly that. There is the link to it. We'll scroll back up because I'm getting way behind on the chat. Question here, is there a compressor plugin that is native to GarageBand that has a release section, or maybe one not native? You can recommend any other compressors? Yeah, so there are a few compressors that do have a release function if you want a release, because yes, as you're mentioning here, your native compressor here in GarageBand iOS, if you come in here, has a TAC, but it doesn't actually have release on there. So what I like is it does give it a little bit of an additional color here, but I like the, for free, is the Rough Rider. So there's the Rough Rider 2 and the Rough Rider 3. Where have I got? I've missed it. There it is. So the Rough Rider 3, so this one has a attack and release. So you can set that. That's a bit more of a colorization, so it'll give you a little bit more grit in your compression. So if you don't want that, I must admit I don't tend to worry or use it. But the ultimate would be to grab something like, if you want to spend some money and you want to get a whole bunch of other stuff as well, I would recommend the Mix Box from IK Multimedia. This thing is insane. It has a heap of different effects in here. Let's embiggen it. So it's a rack-based effects processor, and this has a heap of different ones in here. So if we come in here and we go to the where is that dynamics? Yeah, dynamics. So we can get like a Black 76 compressor, but just a standard compressor in here. There you go. Like, this is old school, right? You've got your actual dials here for attack and release. You got your drive there. You got your ratio, and you got your spread. So you've got different types, and then you can come back in here and you can go with a bus compressor, which gives you a slightly different feel with different options. A Black 76, which is like a 1176 clone that actually works really well. And again, you got your attack and release there. So that would be my options there. Rough Rider 3, check it out because it's free and you can see if that works for you. If that doesn't, yeah, I would go Mixbox because it's about a $40 app. Like, it's not cheap, but you get so much more with that. Does FabFilter have plugins for iPad like ProQ? I believe so. I've never used them. Jade, you've probably already answered that one, but I'm pretty sure Jade has covered some FabFilter stuff on her channel. Let's check it again. Jade Star, STARR, FabFilter. I'm almost positive. There you go. Yes, she has done a couple on the Pro R and the Q3. There you go. There's all you need to do is just type in the word Jade Star and Fab Filter, and she's got you covered. Scrolling on down. Talk about mastering. So yeah, grand finale is another mastering option. Didn't float Gary's boat. I'm not a huge grand finale fan. I'll use Final Touch first, Audio Master Pro second, and then probably grand finale third. Or just master it for free in GarageBand. Just use a limiter and you'll be there. Alrighty. Scrolling down, I'm just going to look for the word question. Where did you buy your curtains from? It is Ask Me Anything. That's a really good question. I don't know. Actually, I do. Burns for Blinds was where these ones were bought for, or Bob Burns Blinds. One of those Burns. We've got two different companies. Some company in Australia. We're actually getting new blinds installed on Friday, which are not in here, but out in the main living area. Yeah, blind. We're going to blind talk with Pete Johns. But yes, my curtains, the brown curtains and the blue couch, they're a part of the stream, aren't they? Kim says, is it bad to refer someone to a video that helped me with metering if it's not on Pete's channel but someone else's? Is that rude to Pete? Absolutely not. No. I'll have a mini rant on this because we've got too many questions for me to fully rant. But no, what I said at the start is how I feel about this sort of thing. And you'll probably notice that I've talked Jade Star, I've talked Damien Keys, I've talked Creative Source, Mike Enjo, I've talked Warren Hewitt, Joe Gilder, Graham Cochran. If I don't have the answer, I'm not going to have the answer for everything. And even when I do have the answer, some people it's not going to click for some people the way I explain it. That is why it is so good having so many different creators on this platform that anyone can actually get involved. And that's why I encourage more of you to actually share your experiences, because someone that doesn't understand metering, that doesn't understand mastering or mixing or recording is going to get it in the way that you explain it and doesn't understand the way I explain it. And that's fine. When people come onto the channel and they're like, you talk too fast, you've got a weird accent and I don't like your face, I don't take offense to that. I'm like, that is cool. As long as you can then go, don't then just give up. Go and find someone who you jive with and check out them. So no, Kim, absolutely. Please refer on to anyone and any video that's going to help people out. I do it. Everyone should do it. Don't feel, you don't have to feel any sort of dedication or commitment to me. Let's continue on. I'm just scrolling down. I know I've missed a few. Hello to Synth Widow. Good to see you here, Joe. When I was doing my singing before, I deliberately didn't go, yeah, girl, Cam. Joey likes the loop roulette idea. I think it would be super fun. I think it would be a great idea. How are we on time? 15 minutes? All right. Oh, there you go. Jade has dug up the archives. So yes, you can check out my first band. And you know what? Let's go there, because I'm a self-serving narcissist. So let's Peter-Johns. Oh, it sounds like I'm in trouble. Peter Johns 5 on SoundCloud. Let's see if we can just find this quickly, and I'll play you. Oh no, it didn't like it. Oh, I didn't put the HTT. Oh, that was weird. HTTPS : / There's a problem. I use a very cool streaming platform called StreamYard, but the one problem is when people put links in there, soundcloud.com/Peter-Johns-5, I can't actually just click them. I have to type them. So yeah, there you go. Here is Scarpa, and that the song Frogs that I was referring to is none of those. Where is it? View 11 tracks. It's this one down here, number 8. Sounds a little bit like this. Listen to that 1995 16-bit quality recording. You can hear the snare drum rattling in the background. Oh, good time. I'll just let it kick in and then I'll stop being such a narcissist. There you go. So if you ever want to jump back into the past and check that out, feel free to. Or don't. That would be my strong suggestion would be don't. Yes, Cooper's is beer. Cooper's beer. Alrighty, scrolling on down. We've got lots of good discussions going on here in the chat too. This is why I love doing these shows, is that they invoke folks to just chat about things. Yeah, Josephine says, my daughter calls. It's like, nope, sorry, we don't have time for the family. No, in fairness, Josephine, they get 23 hours of my day and you folks get 1. So it's not a fair proportion. They definitely get a whole lot more. Right, where was I up to? There I am. Miguel says that was too fast. Yeah, do I speak too fast? I think I said that before, that I that I do get excited when I get passionate. And when I used to work a day job and I'd have to do public speaking, I would always talk too fast and too high. So before went on stage, and if you suffer from this, what you need to do is think two words. Think slow and low, because it's actually harder to talk quickly when you talk at a lower frequency. So whenever I would go, I would realize that I have a high nasally voice, and I realized that I didn't speak correctly and I spoke too fast and I rushed through my words. So before I went on stage, I would be standing there and I'd be like, okay, Pete, slow and low. And it almost sounded like Barry White. Oh, yeah. But it does help. It helped me, and it might help you. There you go. This is Public Speaking with Pete. We're covering it all today. Crawling on down. There you go. I do need the love, especially because I've been grappling with this new setup here now. I've got the Presonus, the new Presonus speakers in, by the way. So they're getting the real world test this week, and then next week we'll be returning to let you know how they're going. So far, so good. So I've swapped out my KRK Rocket 4s with some Presonus Iris 3.5s, which are about a quarter the price and definitely not a quarter the quality. I think these things are going to be gold for a budget speaker. There you go. Joey's going to make a fire-themed album sampling fire for the beats. So y'all can check out the fire beats on my fire album. Yeah, I'm sorry. I know I make fun of the people with the hundreds and the fires, but Jesus, there's some people doing things the wrong way, right? There's people that are all about, hey, do this, like my music, like me. I'm like, what happened, person? What did somebody not treat you well? Anyway, sorry, I won't go down that track. I know everyone's different, but yeah, there's some people that you look at it and like, wow, if you just showed the tiniest ounce of humility, you'd probably actually be a really good artist, but I can't get past your insane bravado that I'm never going to listen to your music. But maybe that's just me. Clearly that's just me. Miguel says, what do you think is the best method for recording quality audio live from mic or using a virtual instrument? Best method for recording quality recording live from mic. So live recording can be a little bit tricky, and I talked about this in a recent one, that the reason I use two devices when I'm recording something I'm doing live, I'll use my iPhone to record video of me playing it, and then I'll use my iPad to record the audio. So I'll just use the iPhone and its built-in mic just to get reference audio, and then I'll actually then record the audio into an iPad using a mixer or using an audio interface. So what I would say is, an audio interface or a mixer is pretty important. So if you're starting out and you're just recording, say, singer-songwriter stuff, I would grab something like the Steinberg UR22C, that's my audio interface of choice, or a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2 is good. All of my recommendations, in fact, and you know I have to say this because I'm mandated by the fact that I need to keep the lights on here on the Studio Live Today studio, and I won't do the joke, but if you go to the gear guide, studiolivetoday.com/gear, then this is all of my current setup here. So I would recommend from an audio interface, if you want something mobile and portable, something like the iRig Pro IO is actually awesome. $150 interface, so not super cheap, but you can plug everything into this. You can use it with your mobile device, you can use it with your Mac or your PC as well. You've got a combo jack there, so you can only record one channel at a time, but that works really well if you want to record some high quality audio, or if you want something a little bit more in depth, I would go with the Steinberg UR22C. Has two channels there, and you can have stereo input, or you can use two mics or two guitars, and you get a really good quality sound. Really nice preamps on this one as well. And if you need more channels, you can go with the 44 or like a Focusrite 8i8 or 18i12, 18i20. So you can sort of move up from there. But I'd say anything in the Focusrite, Presonus, Steinberg, you really can't go wrong these days. Audio interfaces are super good quality and do a really good job. All right, scrolling on down. Fire bra, you know it. You know that it's fire. Yeah, I know that was weird doing the curtain chat. The pleating is very nice. So I'll give you a close-up of it on another video. Would you press your music onto vinyl LPs? Talked about this with someone the other day. I don't know. I don't think so, because I don't even own a turntable. So as nice as it would be to have like your own vinyl, I think actually Jade and Andy spoke about that. Go check out Jade and Andy's recent show that Jade did. They talked about that. Oh, Gary. Moving on. Sorry, for those that can't see the chat and just listening in, Gary's question was, do the curtains and carpet match? Do you know what I'm saying? They actually don't. The carpet's getting a lot grayer than the curtains. and hold for editing, and done. All right. Question from Bear. Which Australian saying is used a lot, just in case I hear it? So all you really need to know about Australians is that we use confusing words, but just take the first syllable and try and work out what the rest of it. So I just had my brekkie, which is my breakfast. On the weekend, I go to the footy, which is the football. We use an esky. No, that's not actually a shortened of a word, but we just love shortening words. And the same with names. I'm lucky because I'm Pete, but there's weird ones because if you're Steve, you're Steve-O. And if you're Gary, you're Gazza. So, yeah, you basically just have to work out how we're going to change the word to make it slightly different. But in terms of actual sayings that Australians use, I mean, we don't use the cliche type ones. So no one's throwing any shrimp on the barbie, as I've said before, and we don't drink Fosters. But yeah, we'll say g'day. So if I caught up with someone, I'd say, g'day, how you going, mate? Yep, not good. How's it going? How's it going, all right? So we often ask the same question twice. How's it going, all right? So we'll answer it, but we'll ask it again. So we could just say, how's it going? But how's it going, all right? We're answering it for it. You good? Yeah? We answer our own question. All right, continuing on. Yes, it's a burden, exactly, knowing that I read the comments. It says, let's come on. I think we've caught up. I think we're close to catching up. So question here from Cleggy. Hello to Cleggy, by the way. If you didn't see, Cleggy did an artist series here on the channel about a year ago. Have you ever thought about doing a show where you talk to bands as well as artists? Been a long time, Pete. Love Murdering Time. Hope you're good. Hope you are good too, my friend. Yeah, funny you mentioned that, actually. I'm speaking to a band on Sunday. So the Chandler Brothers are joining me live. So if you've caught Your Music live recently, they've been on probably 3 or 4 times, or if you're a member of the Create, Record, Release group or GarageBand users, the Chandler Brothers have been a very popular fixture there. And when they shared their last song, I threw it out there and said, Patrick, Sean, if you want to come on the channel, have a chat, then you're welcome. Come on here. Do the joke. Oh, it's such a bad joke. It's so lame, but... All right, we're going to go there. When someone donates to the channel, I normally do this joke, which is, thank you so much for your donation. It's folks like you that help keep the lights on here at Studio Live today, because without you, we would end up looking like this. Although, you know what? With the new camera, I'm actually using my my Logitech Brio, so the joke really doesn't work that well anymore, because this doesn't look as terrible as it used to. All you can see is just my messy background now. But yeah, but with your help, we look like this. There you go. We've lost the joke. It's terrible. But yeah, sorry, Cleggy. But yes, thank you for that. Yes, Scarpa. Spell check doesn't like it. No, spell check does not like Scarpa. It means to depart with haste. It's a British word. I like a lot of British stuff. I say righty dokey, and I had a band called Scarpa. Are we good? Any plan to get a screen soon and decorate your life? A screen, as in like a green screen, as opposed to a screen. I've thought about it. I don't know. Tell me what you think. After this video is processed, if you have time, come back and put green screen yes or green screen no in the comments, because I have my own opinions, which I won't tell you about. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether I can use a green screen or not. Let me know. And yes, the joke is officially dead. A couple of final questions. Question, why do you like cricket? It's sort of like baseball on Valium. Yeah, it's a very calm and soothing. You know why I like cricket? I was watching the Super Bowl, and I like cricket for the same reason that I actually enjoyed the Super Bowl, and that is, if you are sitting and relaxing and drinking beers, it just goes for way longer than it really should, which means that you get to sit and relax and drink beers for longer, and it's more time before you have to go back to work. That's why I like cricket. Not really, but my goodness, there were so many ads in the Super Bowl. Like, they would play for 15 seconds, and they'd be like, we'll be right back after these 14 ads, and then they go away, and then oh my goodness, took a long time. All right. Yes, we do need a last question, because we're about to finish off and turn into a pumpkin. So, last question. From your opinion, what's your opinion on the Behringer Euphoria UMC 202 HD? So, I've never used one. I have the Behringer UM2, the Euphoria UM2, which is, you know what? If you have that or nothing, use that. But that's about as far as I'd go. It's quite noisy. It's quite plasticky. It doesn't have super quality preamps or converters. It's just better, slightly better than your built-in sound card, which is about the best I can say. The HD series, however, and regardless of what your opinion is on Behringer, From a lot of people that I trust, so James and Matt Orrell, I think that you guys use Behringer interfaces. Glenn Clark uses the Behringer HD interface, and he makes some amazing music. So a lot of people I trust that use the HD series from Behringer say it's good. I wouldn't bother spending your money on the non-HD version because you're only getting 16-bit audio, and as I said, super noisy. You're almost better off just getting yourself a USB mic or just using your built-in sound. There you go. That is going to do it for today, but thank you, everyone, for being here. Thanks for all the awesome questions and Gary's. Yes, but no. Let me know how the audio and the video came through as well. Because, like I said, we've got the new setup here today. I'm going to spend a little bit more time today tweaking the studio and making sure it's all working and stretching out this cable so it stops hanging and dangling over my shoulder. And we will be back. So tomorrow we're going to be recording more vocals on Emil's track. So some more dance music vocals. That should be a lot of fun. That'll be a later show tomorrow. So keep an eye on the channel to see when that's going to be. And then we've got, of course, the big weekend where we have a few changes of timing. So if you're not on the mailing list, do join the mailing list, studiolivetoday.com/email, and that will make sure that you're up to date. You'll get the weekly newsletter. You'll know when all of the weekend live shows are happening because I'm actually going to some live music on Saturday night. So it means that the Sunday morning show for me, which is Home Studio Q&A, which is usually Saturday afternoon for you folks, will probably be at a different time. Just confirming all that now. Thanks, everyone. Jump on over to Jade Starr's channel for How to App right now. No idea what she's looking at. She's probably told us, but I've forgotten. And until next time, folks, please be kind to yourselves, be kind to others, keep creating, and rock on.